So I'm working at Adobe for the past 6 years as a director of engineering. I manage a few organizations which are into like software engineering, and we develop software for a Adobe product which is called as Adobe Journey Optimizers, where we help our customers manage their communications with their clients. And yeah, unfortunately, I really like got a very good advisor, and uh, my like I was the research assistant to a professor there for 2 years, and they helped me like figure this field out quite a lot. And I got to do like research papers, I got to like present at conferences, and that like helped me with building the confidence and like with presenting. We used to have we used to like present papers like every other week to a group of people. I think the interview process was pretty much, I think it hasn't changed in like all these years from like what I've seen for the most part. Like it has always focused on like things like data structures and algorithms and system design. So like since quite a long time, like it hasn't changed. And you have to prepare quite a lot for like those sort of interviews, right? So I think like it's one thing to like know about these things, about like these technologies, and to know about data structures and algorithm, and it's a totally different thing to like do well in interviews, right? So in my opinion, like those are really two different things. You have to prepare, there is a certain format in which you have to prepare, there is a certain way in which you have to go about it, you have to practice a lot to like give those sort of interviews. You have to practice doing algorithm questions. There is a time constraint, right? Typically these interviews are like for 40-45 minutes. You have to prepare for them a lot. You have to prepare coding questions, you have to practice system design, you have to learn to like how to present yourself. Like especially for when you don't have a lot of experience to show on your resume, right? It's important to if you have side projects, if you have taken part in hackathons or like things like that, right? Those go a long way, because then that sort of shows the companies that you are interested, not just in like doing your curriculum or like what is expected of you, but you're going out of the way and you're taking some of these like efforts to like show your interest in like writing code and like building products and things like that. It changes, right? Like when you're initially like you're looking for job, like when you're like fresh graduate, at that time it's like if you happen to be like fortunate to have like multiple offers that you can choose from, then I think like the things that I have looked for is like the culture of the team and the culture of the company that you know about and that you get a sense of from the interviews. The second thing is like the growth, the growth opportunities, right? Like if the company and if the product is in a position that you are about to join where like there is an inherent growth potential, then you tend to grow a lot with the company, right? That backend engineering is, I would say, I think like 60-70% of the engineers, like, it's like I don't have the stats, but a lot of people actually work on the backend portion of it, right? Because a lot of code that goes on is in the backend side of things, on like databases and building services and things like that, right? So that's one area. Front end engineering, like you mentioned, there is web engineering, which is writing like websites and like doing the web side of the code, like the browser side of the code. It goes both ways, I think. Like there is definitely an advantage if you have a branded company on your resume uh, initially, or like in any point of your career. If you have a branded company, then the subsequent jobs that you apply for, you tend to uh, typically like across the industry, it's well known like how some of these bigger companies operate and how good they are in some of these fields, and like what sort of interview processes they have and things like that. So like with that, there is sort of a stamp that comes with these branded companies, Like that's the advantage of having one of these like bigger companies on your resume. Gets you, it becomes easier for you to get calls on interviews and get your resume selected. But I think like it pretty much stops there, because like after that, like once the resume is in the hands of the hiring manager and once you're invited for an interview, beyond that point, like it doesn't serve any good, because then you have to perform in the interviews, you have to do good, and you have to like impress them so that you get hired, right? I mean, that goes one. I think like one disadvantage that I would say that sometimes it's is applicable with these bigger companies is that the bigger companies tend to have a lot of processes, and there is a certain style in which software is developed at these companies, right? I'm looking for primarily for like big data and distributed systems engineers. So as I said, like my teams are all backend teams, and I'm looking to hire at least 3 to 4 more people. Little bit on the experience side, but in general, Adobe is also like looking for fresh candidates and interns, and you can go to Adobe's career websites, and there are lots of these opportunities listed. So Adobe is actually very big on like intern hiring and having like a fresh graduate hiring. They go to a lot of these universities. There are a lot of us like gets fresh graduates every year. And so yeah, I mean, there are definitely those opportunities. I'm particularly looking for a little bit more experienced candidates in the distributed systems and big data area. Like at least like 3 to 4 years of experience is what I'm looking for.